First of all, I just wanted to go over the fact that we've done some restructuring within the facilities department. And what we have done is we have reduced the number of supervisors to one supervisor for all facilities, which would be rec and parks, as well as non-recreational facilities. So it's overseeing all facilities within the municipality. So things like fire and daycare and libraries. So that's by title, it hasn't changed, but by function, it has changed. With that being said, there's also a facility, a 4-person for rec and parks, and a 4-person for maintenance and special projects. So Steve is going to be transitioning into the role of 4-person for non-recreational facilities, so projects and maintenance. And what you will see is Mark Kraba is the facility supervisor, and Curtis Harding will be the Rec and Parks 4-person that'll be working directly with the staff at ELMA, LOGAN, and EMCC. So those are the changes that are just were announced on Monday, and over the coming weeks and months, we will be transitioning to that new format. So I just wanted to update on that. If there's any questions, certainly I'd be more than happy to answer any of those. As far as other things other than what's on the agenda with regards to new business and budget, the only other thing I wanted to update on is the dog park committee is moving forward with a number of sounds like we need a dog park down there.
We need one right here, right now, because this one won't shut up.
So the Moncton Lions have joined forces with the dog park committee for the municipality, and they will be presenting a pros and cons list of various locations within the municipality for a dog park. They have looked at a location that would be between the Ball Diamond in Moncton and the naturalization area. And to the north, it would be bordered by the G2G trail. And that is an update as far as what's happening with the dog park at this point. So we're hoping that a presentation will go towards council and get some direction on a location. But it's nice that the Moncton Lions have offered to be involved in that project.
Is there a lot of interest in a dog park in Moncton? I know there is in Listowel.
Yeah, so there as far as interest, when it came to like feedback from the community and people volunteering to sit on the committee, many of the people were Listowel Atwood based, and there may have been one from Wallace, and Moncton, I think there was one. So it's difficult to judge to say if that's the level of interest. Like, I don't think we can say one volunteer equates to one dog in Moncton. I don't think it works out exactly that way. But yes, because of the population base, I would say there would be more of an interest in a dog park in the Listowel area. That being said, I wouldn't be adverse to them at some point in the near future having 2 dog park locations. This would be a fundraising initiative by the communities. It's not funded by taxpayers, and so we will see what kind of interest lies ahead. But at this point, I would say it's less of an interest in Moncton just because of population base.
Okay. Anybody else got questions?
And then other than that, I just wanted to mention that our facilities are closed due to COVID, our indoor facilities, that is, and we would know more with the hopes of opening again on January 26th. But but at this point they remain closed, and we're just waiting for direction from the province and Huron Perth Public Health as well.
All right. That's everything for that.
Yeah, I was looking at the agenda, and then we've got budget and new business.
Yeah. So I guess you're up, or somebody who was on the budget.
So last evening, I presented a list of capital projects to council. It's a very lengthy list, and we're very fortunate that we've got Steve and Mark that will be helping with some of these projects that we've got coming up. Our hope is that with approval from council, that we'll be able to move forward. In particular, ones that are affected by ELMA Logan, and not to get into things that are happening in Wallace. But we're looking at the G2G trail and a campsite location there. There's been a request for about $8,000. It's difficult to tell what we're going to get into cost-wise based on what the project is going to look like, but that's moving forward, and we've requested that funding. We've got the Moncton ballpark lighting upgrade, and we've scheduled we requested $100,000 for that project. We're looking at EMCC and the kitchen floor being replaced. Some wayfinding signs, which may be, I think we're okay in ELMA Logan, but we may have to apply or get some signs in that area with regards to cemeteries. That's the one thing I'm not sure of. With regards to fleet and equipment, we've put in for a pickup truck for the ELMA Logan Rec Complex. And there's a carryover for the Atwood Cenotaph refurbishing project. And then Robert Mather's Park, which is part of the ELMA Logan. We're looking at doing the pavilion there, which is a carryover from previous years as well. Non-recreation related things, just to give you an example of the way the facilities department is restructured, we'll be doing a roof replacement on the Moncton training facility for the fire department. So that just gives you an idea of how we've made some changes with regards that it's no longer just rec and parks, that it is all facilities. So that was as far as an update as far as the capital budget request that was made last evening to council.
Any questions? What'd they think of your budget?
Well, it was, what I found is that it was very quiet on a number of different budget items. Like it wasn't just facilities that presented last night. Public Works presented as well as fire. There wasn't an awful lot of comments from council. And Alan, maybe you could speak to I haven't presented to council in North Perth before, so I'm not sure if the process, if that was the reaction that has been typical in the past, or if you think there'll be more questions to come forward.
Thanks, and through our chair, I think that certainly council had the second half of the capital budget presentation, and I think there was a lot of thoughts and put forward through in terms of the presentation. I think council was certainly appreciative of that. Prior to that, there was two issues which council made recommendations for increases to amounts. One's affordable housing, which we'll see in an amount later, and the second one was with respect to the master transportation plan, neither of which of course reflected in this committee, but nothing on the recreation side at all was specifically spoken of. Prior to this, though, that there was Steve, I'm just trying to think, I guess in the recreation reports that have come through to council before, council was certainly aware of, for example, the light replacement at the ballpark here. as being, well, some would say long overdue. We had more than our fair share of life of the existing light standards down there in Moncton. So I think there's a number of these projects that have been coming for some time, and this is just the year where we're going to have a number of them. We are down substantially in terms of capital projects from one of the highs of about 19 million last year, and I think we're sitting at about 14 million on capital projects this coming year. So there is a little bit of relief there from council's perspective, and that may in part be one of the reasons why we didn't hear as many comments about that. That's my comments. Thank you.
And then if I could just summarize, for all facilities capital projects, of which I didn't include the listable ones or Wallace, but we're at overall $570,000 is the request for the facilities department for capital projects.
I had this crazy dream where I was like, obviously I had COVID, so I'm super sick, but they wanted me to go in the office anyway because for numbers or whatever. And I was like, Charles,
Did you present an increase in all fees? Like was sent out to us to look at?
Yeah, so that has not been presented to council. It was presented to RAC as well. So I know there was a number of discussion points that came up, but that was post the meeting to RAC. But I thought it would be important for us to address some of those questions that people had. Going from the top of my head, I know one of the questions was around looking at the notion of an increase to minor hockey as an example. And there was some questions around whether we should look at either freezing the fees or there was a comment made about possibly just increasing them every 4 years or every term of council. I checked to see what Darcy was doing in his program, and they're increasing their fees for their municipalities at 3% for ice time, and we are in the neighborhood of 2.1% with some rounding up for ours. So I know that there's not a freeze typical that's happening in the world of recreation ice times, or sorry, a freeze on fees. Concern would be around the cost of if we were to do just a 4-year increase, that it would be a very substantial increase if we were looking at 2% every year, that every 4 years it would be an 8% increase. And we thought that would be, it's not a process that's been done in the past, but could be very challenging for minor hockey to respond or user groups to respond on a 4-year plan. Was there any other sorry. Any comments?
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. I just see that there's been a drop in attendance for the hockey and stuff like that because it goes up 2% every year. And you see less and less kids registering. And this year was really bad because of the COVID. So that's why I thought there should have been a freeze on it until this was all over. So that was just my opinion, though. I'm only one vote.
But, the other thing I think is, I don't think we've said the word COVID yet, but I'm going to throw that out there. COVID has had a negative effect on participation that could be, when added to the notion of fees. I think there's families that, as an example, would have a 14 or 15-year-old that would be in a non-competitive, like not a AAA level of hockey, but more of a local league hockey player that's basically had no ability to play hockey for the last 2 years, better part of, and they've moved on to other things. And I think that's a trickle-down effect of COVID. We've seen that as well. And that's not just a North Perth thing. That's countrywide as well.
Yep.
And then the other part of it is our operational costs are noticeably more. You've likely been into the facilities to see our security guards as a a small example of costs that are being incurred just to operate during COVID. And that's substantial. Each security guard is in the neighborhood of $27 an hour to have them at our facility. So the cost of operating, whether it be fuel going up or hydro or whatever, our costs have definitely continued to increase and then skyrocket when you start adding things like security.
Yeah, I understand that.
There was another comment I just recalled now about we don't raise the fees annually for the marketing, like the signboards or the banners or the sponsorship on Olympias or things like that. We see that when we've done the fee increases in the past, we've lost some people that would sponsor us. So we've tried to keep it standardized, and the costs associated with keeping a banner up, those costs really don't change over time. Whereas minor hockey or the cost of running an ice season, those costs do increase. So we're kind of dancing a tightrope when it comes to, we don't want to lose sponsors for the sake of doing an increase. So we review those fees, and they would be done more on a 4-year or 2-year average, if I'm not mistaken. So. Was there any other comments with regards to the fee structure? I know there was an email that was sent around and I don't have it up in front of me, but was there any other comments that were related to the fee structure?
Anyone? Doesn't look like it. Nope. They're all shaking their heads no. Guess we can move on to the next one now. New business.
If we could
Who's up with
possibly get a motion if this committee is agreeing to
Okay.
approve the proposed rate and fee schedule as presented, that would be nice to have for the minutes.
All righty. Does anybody want to bring it forward as a motion? Alan? Do you want to second that, Dean, or no? He's going to second it. Let's see who's in favor and who isn't. Oh, you got 2 in favor. I'm against. Just to be different. All right, it carried. So now we'll move on to new business. Who's got that? You got that too?
Well, that was just the rate and fee schedule that I just talked about.
Okay, all right.
It was just a continuation of budget. I just kept rolling with that. Sorry about that.
That's no problem. It's good to get it done. Is there any announcements? Nobody's pregnant? No?
I
I've
was
seen a
not
couple
going
of
on
people
for
shaking
that.
their heads
No.
No, nobody's
Just
going on.
there was discussion before the meeting, but just put it in officially just to let everybody know about the outdoor rink in Atwood being open.
Yep.
COVID protocols being followed, but let your community know that it's an outdoor recreational amenity that can be used by our citizens. So we definitely want to be able to promote that.
So it doesn't have to be policed the way you have to do the arena. They don't have to have a security guard there, right? Because it's outdoors.
Yeah, that's because it's not an indoor facility where we need to do the contact tracing and passports. No, we don't need to do that.
That's good.
And because of the nature of it being so many hours a day, potentially, it would be very restrictive to try to staff that for the number of hours that people could potentially use it.
Yep. All right. So if there's no more announcements, I guess we'll move on to the final. This next meeting date. When the
We
snow's
could leave
gone,
that as to be determined.
to be
I'm not sure
determined.
when that will be, but we could leave it to be determined on the call of the chair.
That work for everybody? Yep. Seems to. Do we need a motion for that or?
Yes, please, to adjourn.
Okay. We need a motion to adjourn. Alan, seconded by Dean. And all in favor. So I guess we are officially adjourned.